Hi, everyone. Welcome to Oscar Wild, a podcast about film, always counting down to this week's Oscars. I'm Nick Rohrkraut.
And I'm Sophia Simonello.
And we are excited today. We'll be going through all of our predictions. And as you can see, we have the lovely guest, Joyce Eng, and we will introduce her in a second. I'm so excited to be here and to finally be doing this. We still have a week, but this is most of what I've solidified so far.
Me too. It's been such a long season. So thank you, everyone, for listening so far as we've gone through all of these episodes in our Oscar Contender series detailing each category and what we think. But today we are actually saying our final predictions. That doesn't mean we won't change it maybe last minute, but we're going to try not to.
So Joyce is a senior editor at Gold Derby and has previously worked at TV Guide and OK Magazine. She agrees with Moira Rose that award season is her favorite, as she's won many a bet over an upset prediction. And I know I'm just going to be reading from her Gold Derby bio here, but she started watching the Oscars after her dad showed her The Silence of the Lambs when she was 6 years old. Sophia, you can also attest to a traumatizing story like that.
Yes, we have that in common, Joyce.
You watched that when you were 6 too?
I was 8 when I watched it for the first time, so a little bit older, but still way too young.
Yeah, my parents let me watch whatever I wanted.
Yeah,
they didn't care. That's why I am the way I am.
exactly the same way.
And her favorite movie is Saving Private Ryan and loves the Mighty Ducks trilogy.
It's true.
Welcome, Joyce.
Thank you for having me, guys. At first, I was like, "How do you know my entire bio?" I was like, "All right."
Just
I was like, "No one actually
goes
there to read it." Stalker here.
Kind of, well, yeah.
We're so excited to have you here today and to go through all of our predictions. And I think before we start going through the nominees, I know you said, Nick, about Silence of the Lambs, but I think we'd love to hear from you. Like, where did your love for the Oscars begin exactly? And how did you get into predicting?
Well, as Nick read, that was my first Oscars. My dad showed me Silence of the Lambs, and I was 6, and then I watched the Oscars that year. I don't really remember much or from that. I just remember watching it, and I don't think I had any expectations of who's gonna win. I just remember thinking and also that was the Beauty and the Beast year, and I loved Beauty and the Beast. So it was I had these 2 movies that I watched. But I remember it winning, and then I don't even think I watched the next year. I don't think I've been watching it consecutively since. But then at some point I just started following it, and I started following the Globes, and this is the 90s, so pre-internet still. So I would just, and I couldn't see most of these movies anyway, so I would just kind of be reading the newspaper about them. And then I think at some point, probably when I was 10 or 11, I started getting more into it, but still it was not that many precursors. Award season wasn't really a thing, so it was more fun for me to just kind of follow the trends, and then see why did the English Patient win and stuff. But I think the year that I realized it was a massive deal was Titanic, just because it was a massive deal everywhere. Yeah, and then I just kept doing it, and I used to make my friends predict with me too when they hated it. None of my friends care about this, which I kind of like, because sometimes I use them to gauge what the general public likes, and what they've heard of and what they care about. This past weekend I was with my friend, and he was watching The Honest Trailers, and then he was like, "What's Mark?" I'm like, "It's Mank." He never even heard of it. So, but on the other hand, he had heard of Promising Young Woman, and he's like, "Oh, this is nominated." I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Oh, is she nominated?" I was like, "Yeah, she is." And he was like, "For this, not The Dig?" I was like, "Yeah, for this, not The Dig." God. So he's seen The Dig on Netflix, but not Mark/Mank.
Mark. It is so interesting to have friends who don't pay attention to award season at all, just to gauge how they're feeling about things.
I love it, because I have obviously my coworkers and other colleagues in this sphere who know about this type of stuff, but I love having my regular friends who don't care. And then they ask me who do you think is going to win, and I have to explain everything. And then they don't like
Exactly.
understand why, or like why like this person's winning and not that, and yeah, or like what they like. None of my friends have really seen anything this year, which I think is true for most people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know we talked about that last time too, just how different this group of films is. And especially like in this year, just knowing that I think in our bubble, we've seen everything and we've talked about all of these movies for months now, but most of the general public has no idea what most of them are, even.
Yeah, like the awareness is low, and I mean, everyone knows like the ratings is gonna be in the gutter, which like I don't know why people make such a big deal about the ratings because viewing is so fractured anyway. I'm like, yeah,
Hmm.
like you're never gonna get 40 million viewers anymore. Like that's just the reality, and it's a pandemic year, so I don't know. Like every time there's an award show, I know like part of it's clickbait with like all the headlines, it's like all time low. I'm like, yeah, it's gonna be that way for everybody.
Do you think even like voter turnout's going to be super low too?
Maybe like seeing these reports and like anecdotally from people being like they're kind of like apathetic to things. So I don't know. I'm sure like some people are still gonna vote even if they haven't seen everything, but I could see like some people not doing it, like not caring, or maybe just like sitting out like certain categories. So I definitely feel like there's probably some inertia going on even if they are voting.
Hmm.
Yeah, what a weird year. Well, let's, I think, get into it. So, before we get to predicting, we'll kind of give everyone a rundown of how we'll go through these categories. We've organized them into three groups that we're calling In the Bag, Toss Up, and Anybody's Guess.
And then after we go through each group of categories, we'll share our final predictions for Best Picture. If you want to hear a more in depth conversation about any of the categories, go back and listen to our Oscar Contender series where we break down every category, every nominee, and go through our predictions at the time, which has been like over the past couple months. So
Definitely check those out too, I think, because a lot of our predictions maybe have changed. So that'll be fun to, I think, compare them. But to get started with one of our in the bag categories, we're starting with Best Supporting Actor. So our nominees here are Sacha Baron Cohen for The Trial of the Chicago Seven, Daniel Kaluuya for Judas and the Black Messiah, Leslie Odom Jr. for One Night in Miami, Paul Raci for Sound of Metal, and Lakeith Stanfield for Judas and the Black Messiah. Joyce, who do you have in this category?
I think almost everyone has Daniel Kaluuya, who's going to be the
yes,
only acting sleeper this year.
which
Yeah,
is great. And this is how we're going to start the night off. And I can't wait to start on a high note.
I also have Daniel Kaluuya. I think just in the bag, right? As you said, sweeper in the acting categories, our only one clinging on to it. And I'm excited for Academy Award winner Daniel Kaluuya.
It's so funny to think about like how he was, his movie was like one of the last ones out, but this was like a performance that everyone had been talking about for
Mm-hmm.
months, and this movie was supposed to come out in August. And it's kind of, it's very rare for like, movies or like performances with pre-hype that actually live up to the hype.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
And his did, and like once he won the Globe, it was like it's over. Like I think he could have still won even if he had lost the Globe, but after that, it was like he's gonna win everything else.
Yeah. And I think we were so traumatized by the Jared Leto surprise nomination for the Golden Globes that I feel like we kind of lost sight of the possibility of Daniel Kaluuya really coming in off that hype and winning those awards. But yeah, when he did and started that train going, it was just so nice.
And there was a point where I was predicting Jared for a nomination just because it angered so many people
Hmm.
Mhm.
precursors, but I was like, he reeks of like the Globe and SAG snub, and he was so.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then there was a point where we didn't know how this category was going to fill out, and it filled out with Lakeith Stanfield because apparently there's no lead actor in this contender.
No one at all.
Do you ever think there is any vote split chance between them? Like, I don't think that's happening at all. Like, they've never, like, Daniel and Lakeith have never contested against one another.
It
Yeah,
might
I
be really
agree.
minimal. That was the initial thought was like, oh crap, Lakeith might steal his votes, but I don't think it's going to be enough
Yeah.
based on how everything else has been going.
Yeah. And I always wonder, I guess, if vote splitting is really a thing. I mean, vote splitting just has to happen really in any category when you have multiple nominees. So I think here, I mean, in second place, I would maybe put Paul Raci. That
I would
was,
love for Paul Raci.
I would love that so much. It's my favorite performance in this group. But I think Lakeith, it was one of those like just happy to be nominated type of surprise nomination. So
Yeah.
So next category, we'll be talking about animated feature film. The nominees here are Onward, Over the Moon, A Shaun the Sheep movie, Farmageddon, Soul, and Wolfwalkers. Do you have Shaun the Sheep movie, Farmageddon winning, Joyce?
I do. That's the one I'm going out on a limb for. So, you know, I'm gonna get 23 for 23 this year. Yeah, no, I don't. Does anyone not have Soul? Like not just the
Yeah.
three of us.
right. I remember there was like a small group, I think, of people that were trying to make wolf walkers like really happen on Twitter to kind of get the FYC thing going, but you just don't bet against Pixar, especially in this case where they have support, I think, in other categories.
Yeah, like it's definitely winning like another category, which is probably like the next one you have. So I mean, and like the thing is, it's like I just go back to last year when it was like the perfect opportunity for them to go elsewhere when the precursors split and there was like no need for them to award the Toy Story franchise again.
Yeah.
But they just went back to that well.
Yeah, I really wanted Missing Link to win, and it wasn't
I
its
wanted Klaus
time.
to win.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Because Klaus won
Um,
the Annie. So I remember thinking that that could be possible.
And it went BAFTA.
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, Wolfwalkers did really well at the Annies, but still not as well as Soul. And I think just the whole course of the season has been pointing to that. So that's why this is so early, too.
Yeah. Soul it is for all three of us. So moving on to Best Production Design, our nominees are The Father, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, Mank, News of the World, and Tenet. Does anyone not have Mank?
No.
So we're all
That's
set
it. That's
here.
our entire discussion.
Yeah, that's it.
I mean, you know, at least it's not going over 10.
Right. We were talking about that a lot, I think, at the beginning of the season too, of, will Mank be the Irishman? I feel like people were making that comparison, but it won't be because we have production design, which is good. And this, I think, so last year, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood won this. And I think the voters here like the old Hollywood nostalgia. So it makes sense for it to win here, I think, too, in addition to just the Guild nominee or Guild wins.
Yeah, and it also has like the most production design, like the biggest scale. And I mean, I guess you could say that about News of the World too, but that's different. Like it's mostly outdoors. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, it's like recreating old Hollywood, and this will be one in on the ledger for them, so they won't get shut out.
Yeah, recreating how the studio looked back in the day. And we know Fincher loves his CG, but he didn't use it in all of the ways that they did production design right. So that was a win for them, and thankfully a win here. So next up, we have costume design. The nominees are Emma, Mank, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, Mulan, and Pinocchio.
Does
Do
anyone not
we?
have Ma Rainey?
No, there was a time when I entertained Emma for a while, but I think Ma Rainey's Black Bottom just has it, especially, after winning the BAFTA. That was what I needed, I think, to see it. So,
Yeah, I didn't even realize I still had Emma in first place until this morning, and then I switched. But yeah, I was predicting Emma at BAFTA, and it did not win that. So, and Ma Rainey's won everything else. And I think like some people say like there's not as many costumes in there, but I think the costumes that they do have are very vibrant, like they do like stick out, and wardrobe is a plot point in the movie. It's a shoe, but So,
That
and
is
it's Anne
true.
Roth. So,
Yeah, that was my initial thought. Actually, it was like, I don't, they were gorgeous, but I don't remember there being that many. And then I went back and each scene had like so many different costumes going on. I was like, okay, I get it now.
yeah, like Emma, it's like the more, I think, traditionally what you would think of a costume design winner, maybe just even like 15 years ago, but I don't know. Like Ma Rainey's just been winning everything. So
Yeah.
And
So
that's a
speaking of,
perfect, oh, yeah, perfect transition into our next category, makeup and hairstyling. Our nominees here are Emma, Hillbilly Elegy, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, Mank, and Pinocchio. Do we all have Ma Rainey's Black Bottom winning both costume and makeup and hairstyling?
yes, but just like at BAFTA, I had Pinocchio there, not
I
Ma
did too.
Rainey. And then I switched afterwards. I have not seen Pinocchio, but just even looking at the photos of it, like there's so much detail, and I think I don't know like how many voters will watch Pinocchio or look at the photos, but I think if they did, it could win. But I don't think that's gonna happen since Ma Rainey's won everything else.
I would love a world where Pinocchio wins here because it's not the easiest movie to sit through, but it is exquisitely beautiful. All of the work, there are so many different characters. There's like a man as a tuna fish, and then it just goes on, and it's all done so beautifully. So I wish it had a chance here. It did win one award at the Guild, but I don't think it's enough, sadly.
I was like initially heartened by the fact that it also got into costume design, so it was like other people also paying attention to the movie, but I didn't really believe in Ma Rainey from the beginning, because there's also like Hillbilly Elegy, like kind of like flashier type of makeup and
Mhm.
hairstyling, but again, just like in costume design, it's been cleaning up.
Yeah, I think my predictions have gone from Hillbilly Elegy to Pinocchio to Ma Rainey. So here we are. I'm stopping. I'm not going back.
I mean, at
But
one point, I was predicting Hillbilly Elegy to win 2 Oscars.
me too.
Okay, next up is international feature film. From Denmark, we have Another Round. From Hong Kong, Better Days. From Romania, Collective. Tunisia's The Man Who Sold His Skin. And Bosnia Herzegovina's Quo Vadis Aida.
I mean, do we all have another round?
Yeah.
Yes. Did you ever think anything else maybe would beat Another Round? Like what solidified it for you as being more of a lock?
Well, the director nomination for
Hmm.
Thomas Winterberg, but I like Quo Vadis Aida. If another round weren't here, I think that's what I would pick slash vote for. But since Thomas got in, like this is this is where he's gonna win for his
Yeah.
country, not for himself.
Right. And I think too, like having Mads there, like someone, an actor who most people recognize, and the way that the film ends, I think it's an easy one for people to vote for. So we can move on to Best Original Score, which we alluded to earlier. Our nominees here are Da Five Bloods, Mank, Minari, News of the World, and Soul. I have Soul. Do you both have
No.
Soul?
Yes.
Another soul sweep.
Has it lost anything?
I was going to say, has anything else even won? I don't believe so.
Like I think just at like critics awards, but not like the major precursors. I don't think so. Yeah, I mean, my
Yeah.
favorite here is Minari, but I think I said this to someone, I don't know where or when, but like he's gonna get Berteld, like it should win,
Mhm.
but it's not gonna win.
I love that Minari score so much. Like the second I saw it was available on Spotify finally, I was like, oh, good. Another score to cry
I
to.
know
That's not a
it's
Bertel
gonna be
score.
my Spotify Wrapped. So like and then just like the Moonlight score, I can see it being like used in commercials like in a year from now. Like
Hmm.
it's like timeless.
Definitely.
And I mean, I like the Soul score is good too, and I think it'll be cool to see like Jean Baptiste win. Um, but yeah, not my personal favorite.
Nick, do you have anything, or did you want to move
I
on?
mean, yeah, I like the Soul score, and I think early on in the season we weren't expecting it to do as well as it did, especially with the double Trent and Atticus nominations going on. We thought maybe one would get bumped, but it has done really well, and I'm happy. It's not really a typical score we usually get, so I'm happy that it's in the bag, at least for us. You know, like we hope.
I do like Terrence Blanchard getting in here when the sole representation for Da 5 Bloods.
Yeah.
'Cause he didn't get his first nomination until 2 years ago, so I know now he's got two in 3 years.
Yeah. And when they announced this, like during the nominations, I remember when I saw that come up, I thought, okay, Da 5 Bloods is going to have maybe a bigger morning than we thought, but
No,
it just didn't turn out that
That
way.
was it,
Just this
yeah.
one.
I mean, I like my like No Guts No Glory fifth pick for this for nominations was The Little Things. So
That was mine too. I had like, I think pent up anxiety still from when the passenger score came through that one year.
that was my passenger's rule. I was like, he was able to do that, so why not?
Why not this?
Okay, next up is Best Director. We have Thomas Vinterberg from Another Round, Emerald Fennell for Promising Young Woman, David Fincher for Mank, Lee Isaac Chung for Minari, and Chloe Zhao for Nomadland.
Everyone has Chloe.
Yes.
I feel like you
I
just
mean,
have
who's even
to.
second? Like that's the thing. Like when I rank them, I'm like, who do I even put in second? I
Who
think I
do
have
I have in
Isaac
second?
in second. I think.
Yeah, if it were a race between the other four, I think it'd be like Emerald and Lee Isaac Chung. I think they'd be close.
On Gold Derby, I do have Lee Isaac Chung and then Emerald Fennell and then Fincher, which is crazy because at the beginning of the season, I definitely thought, like, okay, once we get to industry awards, maybe things will switch and we'll just have this David Fincher wave come about and Chloe will just be a critics thing. And I'm pretty glad that that didn't happen. And we just have a Chloe season.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be awesome to see her win, and obviously historic. And yeah, the Fincher thing, I don't know. It's like, I mean, obviously he's never won before, but I think the cold reception to Mank
Mm-hmm.
also had something to do with it. I don't know if it's just like the film Twitter bubble, like wanting to reward him, um, or if like the industry is even like waiting to award him. So, and I think like the cold reception to Mang, which just gave him like an out to be like, like you're invited back to the party, but like not yet.
So sad.
I mean, he should have won for The Social Network, but
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know.
I think that's why I was worried because I got too stuck in my head that it was going to be like that year but flipped. Like he would be the Tom Hooper to her David Fincher, but overthinking it as usual. So next we can move on to Best Documentary. Our nominees are Collective, Crip Camp, The Mole Agent, My Octopus Teacher, and Time. Do we all have My Octopus Teacher?
I do.
So do I. Truly one I didn't expect
This
at the
truly
beginning.
came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just what the people want. I guess. I don't know, like, yeah, it's like the movie that like my friends' parents have seen and like they love it. And yeah, like there was like a point where I was like, maybe it'll be like the big snub or something, but no, like the industry loves it too. So, and I think I have like Crip Camp in second. um I don't know if they would even like go for something like Time, just because it's like partially like archival footage. This collection, like the five here, like they're I like it fine, but like I like so many other movies that didn't get nominated, like
Yeah.
The Truffle Hunters. Ugh, I wish that got in. At least it got a couple of guild wins for it.
Yeah, even just from the short list, I chose a totally different five. So
Hmm.
I mean, some of these are great. That's funny you say the archival footage thing because that was our thing going into predictions why we didn't choose Crip Camp. And then that made it. I don't know if that has anything to do with American Factory from last year.
I
Raising,
kept that because even though it's like archival, it's like it's also on Netflix.
Yeah.
So
And the Obamas.
yeah.
did you think with Collective's 2 nominations, anything would happen or not really? Kind of like Honeyland.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy that it right after Honeyland it got those 2 nominations. Yeah, no, I like that, but I don't see it winning either category. I think I probably have it like 3rd or 4th, and then Mole Agents. That's also a surprise. I did not predict that to get
No.
in, but they're campaigning hard for it.
Oh, really? That's funny.
I saw a tweet today, but that's basically all I've seen. I don't know Hulu's strategy.
Yeah, Hulu is like interesting because they're not new, but like they like sort of are still because like they don't have any like major wins, to show for it. I think the guy is going to the Oscars this year.
Oh.
So I just yeah, I don't know.
I did see that. I was like,
Yeah,
that's
okay.
definitely good.
I didn't just like make that up. Okay.
No, you didn't.
So that's what they're doing.
I mean, that's a good push. I feel like people in this category too, with my octopus teacher, like this was one I had seen, I feel like on like Instagram and Twitter, that people were watching it who don't pay attention to the Oscars or really to movies at all. It was just like a happy thing that they had stumbled upon on Netflix and ended up having really emotional experiences too. So I guess maybe we should have known, but I did not expect this at all.
Yeah, it'll just be kind of like not weird, but just an atypical win. And I guess it's comforting after like the hellscape of a year,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So, and it's a pretty movie. It's well shot, I think. Like the visuals are nice.
Okay, next up we have original screenplay. The nominees are Judas and the Black Messiah, Minati, Promising Young Woman, Sound of Metal, and The Trial of the Chicago 7. Do we all have Promising Young Woman?
I
I
do.
did.
I think with Promising Young Woman, what was the win that changed it maybe for you as being the clear winner instead of Chicago 7 or any of the other ones on the list?
I think even though like Trial won the Globe, but like there are huge like Sorkin stands there.
Mm-hmm.
But that was also around the same time that like the buzz for Promising Young Woman was peaking, and we all thought like Carey, not sweep, but do better than she has this season. So I switched to Emerald then, and I really foresaw like a Writers Guild win for her, and I thought like BAFTA, like she'll take that easily. So and then like after like Writers Guild, I was like, okay, I think she's got this, and it kind of reminded me last year of Jojo Rabbit and Little Women. Like I think a lot of people on the internet wanted Little Women to win. But Jojo won those same precursors as Promising Young Woman, so it was like it's winning, and it was also, even though it's polarizing, but it does have a lot of passionate fans, and I think that was also a case where, similar to Promising Young Woman, like they went for the higher concept script and film. So, and I mean, Trial is a good script, and I think he juggles a lot of pieces, and I don't think there's any like true like standout element of it, but it's very well balanced, like how well it's made and directed and edited and everything, and the script obviously. So I can still see him winning, but I think except for 1 year in the past decade in original screenplay, like this category usually goes to like the most original script, like like it's in the title of the category, but it and it's still like it's like high concept or just bold, and it fits the profile of like a Get Out type of win. Like it's probably not winning Best Picture, but it's this like exciting new-ish voice, at least like on the Academy's radar, and this is the win we're going to give it.
Yeah, we'll get to Best Actress, but I think in terms of awarding it somewhere, this is a good place to do it, to award kind of the entire idea of what's happening and maybe not just like one technical aspect, I guess.
Yeah, and it's like her movie, she wrote it and directed
Yeah.
it. So she's I don't know, like would you say Emerald or Carey is more the face of the movie?
That's what I was just thinking of, because I think like to people that just go to see the movie or like rent it, they'll definitely think of Carrie. But I think to like probably people in the industry, they think of it as an Emerald Fennell film, since she was nominated for both, and just I think has like a really clear signature aesthetic and style now, especially after Killing Eve and then this. Which I find like season 2, the way she directed that, like similar to here. So I think I would say Emerald would be the face probably for the voters.
Yeah, I like think about the same thing with Nomadland. Like, it's Chloe's like the face of that, even though it's like she's the star. But
Mm-hmm. All right, ready to go into toss ups? Get a little harder. This one I think maybe isn't a toss up, might be more of a lock. We'll see. But our first one is Best Supporting Actress. So our nominees here are Maria Bakalova for Borat's subsequent movie film, Glenn Close for Hillbilly Elegy, Olivia Colman for The Father, Amanda Seyfried for Mank, and Yoon Jung for Minari. Joyce, who do you have, and how
I
do you
have
see this playing
Yoon.
out?
I have Yoon, and I am so excited for her speech. It'll probably be like 40 seconds, just like her last 2 speeches, but it'll be the best 40 seconds of our lives. But yeah, I have her winning, and it's kind of crazy how just like 2 weeks ago, like pre-SAGs, we were like unsure, and then within a span of a week, it's like, oh yeah, it's probably gonna be her. Um, and it'll be a historic win. She'll be just the second Asian actress to win an Oscar, and like I personally think she's the most deserving in this category. And I think what kind of sealed it for me even before the BAFTA win was seeing the reaction to her SAG win in that Zoom call from like Glenn Close and like Olivia Colman and like even like the supporting actors in there. Like they were so excited for her. And I think Glenn is even happy to lose to her. Like I don't think she'll be reacting that way if she had lost SAG to anybody else, but I think just like losing to someone like her age who is a superstar, a legend in her home country, and is having this like global breakthrough, like I think she is excited for her and she loves that for her. Who knows, maybe she's even voting for her. So and this will be like the win for Minari, so which everyone was kind of wondering, like, is it going to win anything, because it's probably not winning screenplay. And it's clearly liked more, I think, domestically than abroad, just based on how its nomination turnout happened at the Globes and BAFTA. And then she won BAFTA, so which I think some people also weren't expecting, just because Minari didn't even make the film long list, but she won with the general membership there.
She just, I think, is such an easy person to vote for. I can't see many people wanting to vote for anyone else. And like, especially, yeah, after her speeches, and she's just so charming and endearing too. Just her speech about British people and how they're snobbish was so amazing.
And then she apologized. I was like, oh, you don't have to apologize. Yeah, I don't like, who do you think is runner up here? Do you think it's Maria?
I think early on in the season, I expected Maria to kind of keep going. And then Yoon Jung gained momentum. So obviously I have her as well. But I think Maria just being the unexpected choice could gain a lot of votes too.
I have her in second right now. I think she's the only other one who's won anything. So, and I think just her being here and the Borat screenplay getting in, I think there is a lot of support for that. And she, I think, yes, even though we think about Sasha, she's who I think of when I think of this movie. So I'm sure there are voters who think that way too.
Yeah, like for sure. And I think what's just so weird about her run is that she lost at the places where she probably should have won, like the Globe when she went lead in the easier category. And I predicted her at SAG because I was like, Borat is populist and like SAG-AFTRA is super populist and broad now. And that was like right after it also won Writers Guild. So, and the fact that like you won over SAG, like with a Korean language performance, you know, like that was huge for her. So I guess I think I still have Maria in second, but yeah, I think I mean some people are still trying to make the argument for Glenn. I don't think that's happening. So yeah.
I don't think so either. Do you, Nick? Do you see any way that that Glenn could win somehow?
It's not her time. There will be a
Yeah.
time, hopefully very soon, but
Sunset Boulevard.
Yeah.
that's yeah.
It just adds to her like lore, you know, like her eighth nomination. And I think like people do want to give it to her, but probably not for this film too.
Yeah, whenever Sunset Boulevard comes out, everybody make way, leave room for Glenn.
I mean,
We need her to
that
win.
movie just needs to be like received on the level that like Judy was. Like
Mhm.
if Hillbilly Elegy had that, you know, kind of like so like mixed reviews, like I think she could have won, but it like just got savaged. And JD Vance is not helping things either right now.
No. No.
Okay, let's move on to cinematography. The nominees are Judas and the Black Messiah, Mank, News of the World, Nomadland, and The Trial of the Chicago Seven. We hinted at this before, maybe with production design, but Mank recently won the Guild Award, so that's why we have it here in a toss-up. But do we all have Nomadland?
I still have it. Yes.
Yeah.
I also still have Nomadland.
The ASC, they can be like very insular, and I actually I for like 2 minutes I had like News of the World predicted to win there, because like of Darius Wolski, who's like a veteran, you know, and but I was like torn between that and Mank, because like the black and white style and like, you know, the Fincher name, obviously he didn't DP it, it's Eric Messerschmidt, but um I didn't know like which upset to go for, so I just like defaulted to Nomadland and he lost. But I still have him for the Oscars because they, and like that guild doesn't really have like the best correlation with the Oscars anyway.
I think Nomadland too, like it's won most places, right? Other than the Guild. And I think just the stills from the movie are so beautiful. And I think we also just know that people are watching this one based on the number of nominations that it has and the wins that it has. So I think it'll win. And it'll be exciting for Joshua James Richards, who hasn't won before. So that's great.
He and Chloe can have his and hers Oscars.
I know. We were so surprised, like when we found that out that they were partners. We were like, oh my god.
They've been together for a while, right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah, Oscar winning couple. So
I know.
Mm,
We were talking
beautiful.
about how he's not the DP for Eternals. I mean,
I
it's
know
the Marvel film,
I
so
was I saw that because I was like, is he just doing like all of her films? But it was like someone else.
but I think he's working on it too. I think he's like an assistant or like advising it somehow. So I think he's still there, but it'll be interesting to see how that turns out.
Making sure it at least looks like a Chloe film.
Yeah.
I mean, I just can't wait until like next Monday when Marvel drops the Eternals trailer with You know,
Ooh.
they're just sitting on like Academy
waiting.
Award winner Chloe Zhao.
Yes.
Like today they had to do like
So
Chinese food
true.
today, but next
What do
week,
you-
man, it's gonna be Eternals.
So, moving on now to Best Sound. So, combined category this year. Our nominees are Greyhound, Mank, News of the World, Sound of Metal, and Soul. And I think we have this here also because of Sound of Metal's kind of rough weekend that they had. So, Greyhound ended up winning the Golden Reel for motion picture sound editors. So, I still have Sound of Metal though. What about you two?
Same.
Yeah, so do I.
I mean, like all that loss really tells me is that if the sound categories were still split, then Sound of Metal may not win sound editing, but it's the sound mixing in the movie that was always superior, and it won the CAS. But what's
Mhm.
funny is that like it's basically emulating Whiplash because Whiplash also lost those things, um, and it won the Oscar. So I think it's still good for the Oscar, and it has sound in the title.
Mhm.
And I mean, and it deserves it. I mean, I think like that this like the sound design in that movie is superior. Like that's what the whole movie is built around. So
Mhm.
um I think it's still okay even without that guild win.
Yeah, it's what I recognized most when I saw it and knew immediately that it had to win for this. So also with the mixed category, I think there is still going to be enough support for it to win.
Yeah.
Definitely. I agree. And we've talked about sound being in the title too. So I feel like that is just, even for voters who maybe don't know how this category works, that's an easy vote that
I
they
mean,
can
now they
give.
don't even have to try to learn the difference. So
Right.
Next up, we'll be talking about visual effects. The nominees are Love and Monsters, The Midnight Sky, Mulan, The One and Only Ivan, and Tenet. So, Midnight Sky won 2 Visual Effects Society awards. The One and Only Ivan won 1 award. Tenet won 0, but it won the Critics' Choice and the BAFTA. So, I feel like it's had mixed love throughout the season, but that's what I have predicted.
yeah, I still have Tenet. Like the guild doesn't always like just like cinematography doesn't really translate all the time, and there's been like reports of screener issues of Tenet just because of like the whole thing with like Nolan.
Yeah.
And then like Warner Brothers didn't even put up like Tenet on like the Academy like screener portal until recently, so that's also probably what happened with like the guild, so they didn't have like access to it. And I think like you know this category doesn't really favor like what you would like the movies you think of when you think of visual effects like superhero movies and stuff. um and they tend to go for more what you would think of as like a traditional best picture nominee, even if it's not one. And I guess those it on paper, I guess it sounds like The Midnight Sky, but it could also be Tenet. and
Yeah. Yeah.
and I think it because Tenet got the other nomination in production design, I think that helps it more than The Midnight Sky, which was like kind of I actually kind of enjoyed it, but it was kind of like a no one care movie.
I also have Tenet. When The Midnight Sky won Visual Effects Society, I went back and looked at last year just to check, and The Lion King won. So I was just kind of like, okay, that didn't translate. And then I started looking back at history and just seeing kind of that this wasn't a good predictor, like you were mentioning. So I think we'll be good with Tenet here.
Yeah, that Lion King win was those lions in that movie, man. It's like really
It's like, this is what we're going for.
like sure. I do think like the cool win would be Love and Monsters, and I kind of hate myself for not because I actually consider that predicting it for the nomination, and then I didn't do it. Uh, so, but I went with like Welcome to Chechnya, which was robbed.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. I Also went with Welcome to Chechnya. Was sad that it got robbed. And we talked about on our episode with visual effects. The monsters in Love and Monsters are really cool looking. And that was a good visual effect in the movie.
Yeah, but I'm just like, who has seen it? And are
I
they
know.
gonna try to see it?
Yeah.
Was it on Netflix or supposed to be on Netflix?
Was it? It's not Netflix in the US. I think it's Netflix
Oh,
International.
okay. Okay.
So maybe all the international voters will vote for it.
So next we'll get into our shorts categories. First, we have Best Animated Short. Our nominees are Burrow, Genius Loci, If Anything Happens, I Love You, Opera, and Yes People. Joyce, you can start. What do you have here in this category?
I have And Anything Happens to You. And I haven't really thought much about this because I kind of feel like pretty easily. It's very emotional and celebrity to it too. Um, I mean, I like most of the other nominees. Yes, People is a wild nomination. I have that in fifth. No offense to the people who worked on that, but I think this will probably be an easy win for If Anything Happens, I Love You.
Yeah. I have this too. I think, isn't Laura Dern a producer on it?
Yeah.
So just like having people like that there, it's on Netflix, so it's easy to watch and it's very topical.
I wish Opera had a chance because I absolutely love that short.
I like most of these in here, but I think like the others are not gonna win.
Yeah.
So this is like one of like the better short films nominations, I think, of the three this year.
Mm-hmm. So, continuing our shorts conversation, we'll talk about the live action ones. The nominees are Feeling Through, The Letter Room, The Present, Two Distant Strangers, and White Eye.
This one I'm less confident about, but I still have Two Distant Strangers.
Another Netflix win.
Yes. I mean, Netflix can sweep this. So
Yeah.
They really can. I have Two Distant Strangers also.
So do I. Yeah.
okay. Yeah, it reminds me of Skin. And again,
Yeah.
it's also topical and timely, very timely right now. Feeling Through is actually my favorite. I think I have that in second. And I like a lot of people are predicting The Letter Room, but I don't really see that happening. Maybe I'll live to regret saying that, but I think they're doing that just because of Oscar Isaac.
I think so
Yeah.
too. The star power argument, like I see that.
I also
But-
don't really believe that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Two Distant Strangers also really reminded me of Skin when I was watching it. I was like, ooh, I don't feel right about this, but I think that it's probably going to win. Yeah.
Yeah. Last year's The Neighbor's Window had well known actors in it too, but I felt pretty connected to that storyline way more than I did to The Letter Room. But Two Distant Strangers, more topical. I think more love, easier to watch.
Okay,
I
I feel
don't know about
slightly
easier to
better.
watch.
Yeah. I think this is probably the most like split of the shorts of this year. So I don't know. I don't want to think about it too much because I tend to do better when I don't think about it and I just like pick one.
I know. It's like I feel like I just have to turn the test in and just like walk away, not use all my time, just stop. So our last shorts category, we have Best Documentary Short. The nominees are Colette, A Concerto is a Conversation, Do Not Split, Hunger Ward, and A Love Song for Latasha. Joyce, what do you have in this category?
I have a love song for Latasha, but again, not confident about this. I could see Concerto as a conversation. Again, with like the star power behind like Ava DuVernay is been stumping for it. And also it's like the apple in the bag of oranges. You know, it's the most uplifting of these. Most of these are pretty depressing or just kind of bittersweet. But yeah, I still have Love Song for now. What do you have?
I also still have Love Song for Latasha. I'm doing the Netflix sweep here. When I watched this was the one that jumped out to me as the winner. So I'm just kind of sticking with my instinct there, just based on the feeling that I had watching it. But A Concerto as a Conversation would be my second one as well, for the same reasons that you said, just the star power behind it. Nick, are you in the exact same place?
We're still all
Oh my God.
predicting the same nominations.
There's way too much consensus here.
There is. I know. I'm like actually getting nervous now.
My favorite of the bunch is Colette. Also up there, I have Do Not Split. Again, I don't think these are as likely to win. I think with a concerto, we have Chris Bowers, who composed Green Book and a few other Oscar and Emmy nominated movie scores. So I think that's maybe also a big push for voters if they recognize his name, apart from Ava's. And I think that the short's easy to watch filmmaking, but it didn't strike me as deeply as some of the others did.
Yeah, that's kind of why I picked Love Song, because I felt like Concerto, even though it is the most different, like it is light, whereas like Love Song, there's tragedy involved. Like it feels so reductive to say that, but
Yeah.
like it's true. But like Colette, I think would have won maybe, I don't know, like 10 years ago or something. Just like how we like everyone always jokes about, like, you know, if it's about like the Holocaust, it'll win.
Okay, our last toss-up category, we have Best Actor. Our nominees are Riz Ahmed, Chadwick Boseman, Anthony Hopkins, Gary Oldman, and Stephen Yeun. A toss-up, maybe only because of Anthony Hopkins' win at BAFTA, but Joyce, do you still have Chadwick Boseman or not?
I still have Chadwick Boseman, but I don't know if I'll switch off of him to Anthony Hopkins. But I think it would be wrong to be so dismissive of Anthony Hopkins' win at BAFTA, which I think a lot of people are being, just writing it off as like a BAFTA only thing because like Brits and blah blah blah. And you know, like if Chadwick does win, we'll never be able, unless they release the vote totals, we'll never be able to say like it's closer than it was, because obviously Chadwick won. So then you could just be like, he was always gonna win. But I, you know, like Anthony Hopkins, like that performance, like it's really hitting people. And you know, a couple weeks ago when The Father hit like VOD, and that was when people were watching it and started like tweeting about it and how much they loved his performance and how he could win. And then at the time, I was just kind of like, this could just be like a film Twitter thing. And you know, maybe we're getting bored too. But you know, he won the BAFTA, and The Father also won adapted screenplay. And I do think, you know, it's giving off vibes of like Glenn Close and Olivia Colman 2 years ago, where maybe people do think like Chadwick, like Glenn was like gonna win and is secure, and like they actually vote for their favorite performance, which is Anthony Hopkins.
I still have Chadwick too, but Anthony's very close behind. I think the BAFTA win, at first, I kind of thought, okay, Anthony Hopkins is more of a British icon. Chadwick is more of an icon here in the States. So that's kind of where I am now with how they're lining up in my predictions. But I think, yeah, it wouldn't be wise to write it off, like you said. So I might end up switching because I think The Father is peaking at the right time. And I think that, yes, Anthony Hopkins has won before, but he also, it was a long time ago that he did win. And he's been a staple in the industry. And this is a performance that, like, everyone who watches it is saying, this is astonishing. So I think it can happen, but I'm sticking with Chadwick for now.
I'm choosing Chadwick, but Anthony's was the most moving to me out of the bunch. I think it's his best ever. And I wish we could award Anthony, Delroy, and Chadwick all at the same time. um,
A
I'm
three.
happy.
Okay.
I'm happy Anthony won somewhere and on his own turf makes sense. Um, but I think it's been Chadwick's to lose all season. And his wife has had some really moving speeches as well that I think is helping him along. And I don't think there's any one reason that he's winning, but as a last performance, I think this is super, super worthy to reward Chadwick.
Yeah, I think like him winning is a combination of factors, like the performance, and like, you know, wanting to honor him and everything too. And but I think people also forget that, you know, for like 10 months, Anthony Hopkins was the favorite, like because The Father premiered at Sundance in January 2020,
Mhm.
even though it didn't hit theaters until over a year later. Um, like anyone with those kind of braves would be a lock in this category. And then, you know, like the reviews for Ma Rainey dropped in November, and then that's when like Chadwick's narrative took off. So, and I think, you know, if like things were different, you know, if he were still with us, I think this race would be a lot more competitive. Like this is a great lineup, even, you know, like everyone loves to hate on Gary Oldman, but I liked him in Mank, and like I thought that was an interesting performance. Would I have nominated him? Probably not, but I don't begrudge his nomination. Um, and yeah, like this is such a strong lineup that it would have been nice if, you know, everyone could have like won something along the way, kind of like in Best Actress.
Yeah, I agree. And that's why I was happy when Anthony won the BAFTA, because I was like, okay, he's getting recognized somewhere for this. And now maybe he'll get the Oscar too. If that ends up happening, I am not really sure how that will go.
I think if that happens, I think we really just have to pay attention to people being like, I think blah 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 is gonna win, but this person or like this film was my favorite, because that was also kind of what people were saying with like Moonlight too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I mean, like La La Land also had like backlash by that point, but a lot of people were just like totally moved by Moonlight.
All right, are we ready to move on to our true anybody's guess categories?
Let's
First,
do
we
it.
have adapted screenplay. Here we have Borat subsequent movie film, The Father, Nomadland, One Night in Miami, and The White Tiger. What do you both have?
So I actually just switched like 2 hours ago from Neverland to The Father, and I already regret it. So I don't know. I'll probably switch it back before Sunday.
I
But
also have the father here. What do you have, Sophia?
I have Nomadland, but I had The
wow, we're actually
Father yesterday. So I think
Back and forth.
back and forth. Yeah. What made you switch to The Father?
I like I mean, like I do want it to win something, and I don't like to predict that way that like something I want to win something. But like I can't deny the fact that it's peaking at the right time. And I mean, I thought it was going to win the BAFTA anyway, even before, you know, people started watching it on VOD. But it's also more writerly than No Man's Land. Like I think No Man's Land is a great adaptation of a nonfiction book, and you know she did, you know, creative things with it. But the script is not really the thing you talk about when you talk about
Mhm.
Nomadland. And yeah, I guess this could be the place to reward the father, as it were, but I don't think voters actually think like that. It's like, oh, I better like toss a vote to the father somewhere. Um, but then I'm like thinking, like, if I don't give screenplay to Nomadland, like, is Nomadland gonna win like Best Picture with just director and cinematography, which I guess is possible. But you know, I could also just see it just sweeping screenplay along with it, just like Birdman did. just because it was unstoppable in Best Picture, and the script of Birdman is not something people talk about either. You know, that's the top thing, and it beat Grand Budapest Hotel, which is a writerly script. Yeah, so I'm like going back and forth on this.
Yeah. That last point you made, that's what kind of brought me back to Nomadland, was just thinking about how voters might just carry it along with it. Like if they really like Nomadland, they could just vote for it in Screenplay. If they really like Chloe and they've heard the narrative that she's nominated for all of these Oscars, they could want to vote for her here too. And yeah, I think I started thinking just about the path to Best Picture and what those Oscars are that you get kind of along the way to Best Picture. And we talked about director and screenplay felt like the path for Nomadland for me. But I could change. I probably will a couple of times.
I think if Nomadland and The Father were eligible at the WGA, we'd probably be having a different conversation. And I wonder if the voters have read the nonfiction book, Nomadland, and are like, oh, this is amazing that she kind of went in a totally different direction, and that's why we're going to reward it. Or if it's, again, just for Chloe and the work that they made together.
I don't think most people have read any of these books and plays. These scripts are adapted from.
I'm sure Nomadland was on the New York Times bestsellers list or something. I mean, it's a pretty well-known
Yeah, but
book, but
if they haven't already read it, like now, I don't know
right.
if
Yeah.
they would
You're not
see
going to
it.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was like, I feel like I don't give them enough credit ever, but maybe it's the right amount of credit to assume that they don't really
Maybe,
dig
some
deep.
people do their due diligence and
Uh-huh.
take it seriously and they read the books, but I mean, certainly this year they have time to do it, but I don't know if they have.
Our next category is original song. We have Husavik, Fight for You, EOC, Scene, Speak Now, and Hear My Voice. So, from what you just said, do you not think Speak Now will win?
I don't have it winning. I think it can win, but again, going back to the last category, I don't like to predict stuff I like, and my favorite in this category is Husavik, but I do believe it can win. Yeah, I've been in a tank for it like since nominations, so I'm just gonna stick with this one. And I do like legitimately think it can win. And I wrote something last week about why it can win. It's the only non-end credit song. It's actually used in a movie, performed in a movie, not just played over like a scene or something. And it's meaningful to the narrative. And it's the most different. Like three of these songs are thematically similar. Like their titles sound interchangeable.
Mm-hmm.
And like they've gone like with like good picks before, and I think they can do it again, especially if we're talking about like apathy here. So yeah, I don't think most of them have seen Eurovision, but if they like care enough to like look up these songs, like just Google them, and the only one like whose video is like a scene from the movie is Husavik, because like Netflix just put up the whole performance scene, and the others just have like regular music videos because they're just end credit songs. So I think like if anyone does watch that and not just like listen to the songs, like they might be compelled to be like, oh, the song is actually used in the movie. Um, and also its campaign has been incredible. Like they're including the real town of Husavik and like the citizens, and like today they released a video of like little kids learning the
Oh.
song. It's going to be performed actually in Husavik. And like Netflix is going all out for it, and they're not really backing The Life Ahead that much. Poor Diane Warren, but she's taking matters into her own hands as a
She
big
is.
profile for the Oscar. So I suppose like she can also benefit if there's like any type of vote split between the other three songs. And it would be like such a thing for her to finally win in a pandemic year. But I don't know. I feel like it's probably not her time again.
I feel the same way about Diane Warren, and I would love for Husavik to win. I'm not taking the swing here. I'm sticking with Speak Now, and we'll be fine being wrong if it's Husavik that wins. I think that's the one song that doesn't sound like a CVS song or grocery store song that you would just like hear while you're there. And it's actually in the movie, like you said. So I'm also wondering too, like, do voters, in the same way that we were joking about like Sound and Sound of Metal, I mean, Eurovision Song Contest, like if they saw a song, they could vote for it.
Middle. So, and I think most people know what Eurovision is. So,
Mhm. Yeah. I think I'm just going with Leslie Odom Jr. here just because he's so well known and they do like their stars, and he's been presenting at guilds and
he is
things like that. So he's
amazing
been
talent.
around.
He's
Yeah.
looking for it. So, yeah, like that's definitely the safe choice. So, but I also think it's kind of like just like what tends to happen is like in the beginning we just kind of make these predictions like not having seen or heard anything, and that was just always number one because we just knew like Leslie Odom Jr. was going to have the song in this movie that was probably going to be Amazon's like top contender. And it was their top contender. It didn't get a Best Picture nomination, but I think it's just like a self-fulfilling prophecy that we were predicting it, so then like other people are jumping on board because they also haven't seen or heard anything, and now it's just like so far ahead, but it's not even sweeping. Like it lost the Globe to Diane. So
Husavik is definitely the one that I've listened to most. Even put Ya Ya Ding Dong in there as well. I
Daya
think
Ding
this
Dong should have
movie
been better.
it's just incredible songwriting, and the movie is fun even if people haven't seen it. I think it's an easy watch. Another Netflix win. Probably will need to be watched after this Oscar season just to like de-stress. Sing along.
But do you think like if voters are, there's also been reports that like they find like a lot of this year's movies like depressing or like too serious, and if they're looking for like escapism, like Eurovision is perfect escapism.
Yeah. Is this our song, My Octopus Teacher?
I mean, I like this a lot more than My Octopus Teacher. I don't know. I'm going down with the ship. This is one category, even though it's like not set in stone. I'm not gonna change before Sunday. If I get it
I
wrong,
get
I
it.
get it wrong. Yeah.
I might be inspired to change mine, honestly. It just feels more fun.
Yeah, like they should just go for the fun choice. Come on, guys. They can be
Yeah,
so lazy in this category.
really.
I mean, I wonder if they'll want to, push Leslie Odom Jr. on to winning an EGOT. I wonder if maybe that's
Before Lin-Manuel Miranda.
maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It is kind of crazy how this is the fourth year in a row with someone nominated for songwriting and acting. But only one of them has won this, and it was Gaga. So
Oh, that was a great win.
a song that was used in the movie.
Exactly. I feel like somehow A Star is Born comes up on every episode that we do.
I was just telling someone I hadn't seen A Star is Born since I first saw it, like 2.5 years ago, and then like TNT played it right before the SAG Awards, and I was like, oh right, like they cut in a scene of like Bradley Cooper singing with her at the end.
All right, we only have a few more categories to go. So next we have film editing. Our nominees are The Father, Nomadland, Promising Young Woman, Sound of Metal, and The Trial of the Chicago 7. What do you both have?
I still have Sound of Metal.
I have
Nick,
the
what about
Trial of the
you?
Chicago 7.
I have Sound of Metal still. I'm trying not to be swayed by the guild.
I think here we have the chance to award every single Best Picture nominee. And if it's going to win anywhere, I think it could be here. It won the Ace Eddie Award. And I think this kind of reminds me of Bohemian Rhapsody's win. I think, it's a
Why are
big
you
crowd.
reminding us of that?
Oh my God. Yeah. I'm like, please.
It's a big crowd pleaser. So Joyce, were you not swayed by it losing?
No, I understand and why people are changing and predicting it. The thing is like I don't think any of these nominees fit the usual like flashy editing winner. Like yes, Trial has the most editing, but I don't think it's intense in the way that it is in like Ford versus Ferrari, or even Bohemian Rhapsody. Like that had the most, but I think it really won for the Live Aid sequence at the end, which is just, I mean, everyone loves Queen anyway, but it's just like that whole sequence, and you just kind of get like immersed in the concert. And I don't know if Trial has like a standout memorable scene like that, and I guess you could probably point to the protest scenes, which has the most like shaky cam type of stuff going on. I do think it's very well edited, but again I think it's more like the whole thing is good, and I feel like they kind of look for something singular that stands out. It's not like very techy either, and the the techie nominee in this lineup is actually Sound of Metal because it's probably winning sound, you know. So and it's not like, people they make the Whiplash comparison, and it's not like Whiplash at all. Like it's not intense either, and it's subtle editing, but the way like they edit in like the sound design, I think people might just kind of vote with them like together, like it's just like linked for them. If you're voting for it in sound, they might just vote for it in editing as well. So that's why I still have it. I don't know if I'll change it. So
I still have it because it really was one that I didn't expect to win editing in most places throughout the season, and just seeing it pick up wins like pretty consistently in weird places like the Critics' Choice tie and then BAFTA. Like BAFTA has that good, I think, indicator for Oscars maybe here. So I feel like I just need to leave it, but I might change. I don't think so though. I think I feel good about the sound editing combo that Sound of Metal will have.
yeah, and I guess, you know, yeah, like if you're predicting Trial for or promising woman for screenplay, and you think Trial needs to win something, this is like the next possible category. But I don't know if, again, voters vote that way. Like I have to give each Best Picture nominee.
Yeah.
Are we ready for the big one?
No, never.
Best Actress, here we go. Our nominees are Viola Davis, Andra Day, Vanessa Kirby, Frances McDormand, and Carey Mulligan. What do we all have for this category?
I still have Andra, and I'm not gonna do anything until Saturday at least, because I can't think about this until then.
It's really consumed all of my time, and I'm a little nervous because I also have Andra. So I've on our acting episode, that was my prediction, and I'm like, I need to just stick with this at least for now, because something about it, I mean, it does not feel right, but to me at the same time, it does have, I think, some key things there that I usually need to see in a Best Actress winner. So I have her too, but I can go through my 2 and my 3 and my 4 in a bit. Nick, who do you have still?
I have Andra as well.
Oh my god.
This is a shocking tie.
We're gonna freak people out.
So that means she's definitely not winning if we all.
Right. Yeah, I'm like, maybe she's cursed now.
Like, why do you have her?
This is a year where you can, I think, throw stats out the window. And in most cases, I am. But if we are looking at stats, like that Golden Globe win was really big. And I think her getting into this category means that people were watching the movie. Or even if they weren't watching the movie, I think she's the one of the group who's playing the legend. Like, even if you haven't seen the movie, like some voters might see Billie Holiday written down like on their ballot and just, I'm voting for her. And I think even though the movie itself has gotten really terrible reviews, people are walking away from it when they watch it and saying Andra Day was transformative and she gave this amazing performance. So I think that's why I'm going with her for now. What about you guys?
I don't think her Golden Globe win has helped her this entire conversation because some of the other actresses have won since then.
And it
But
was so long ago.
yeah, at this
Yeah.
point, it feels like last year. But I mean, we can look at Renee Zellweger's win and see that it has some of those similar aspects to it. I mean, in my mind, I'm switching and saying, well, what about Viola? I feel like she has momentum. She won the SAG. And, it would be easy to vote for the first Black woman to have two Oscars. I think it's extraordinary. She's always done amazing work. It's not like her, let alone nobody in this category deserves it. We entertained the idea of a tie on our last podcast too.
So did I and Chris Rosen. And he actually this morning he told me like he thinks it's gonna happen, and I'm like, you're on crack because
Oof.
he's been thinking about this like way too long. But now he
Yeah.
thinks it's gonna
Yeah.
happen.
Why do you have Andra?
I switched to her after. Well, I had her in second behind Carey, and then after SAGs, I just switched them. Um, and I just felt like she just has the baitiest performance. And since I don't want to think about this until Saturday, I'm just defaulting to the baitiest performance for the time being. And yeah, like this, whoever wins is going to break a lot of stats. And there's so many pros and so many cons for all of them that like it makes sense and it doesn't make sense. So um, I think yeah, like you said, like even if they haven't seen the movie, which got terrible reviews, like they might just see like Billie Holiday. And I think like most people who've seen the movie do really like her in it. Like Oliver Stone is tweeting about her. Like he probably voted for her, you know? And yeah, she's the sole nomination for her film, which is not great. But I don't like all everyone else. It's just there's just something off about all of them. And I think she's the biggest wild card where we truly do not know what her position is. Like she could be way out in front and winning this in a landslide for all we know, or she could be like dead last. And I think right now I'm just gonna roll the dice on the wild card than on like Carey, who we keep predicting to win things, and she's not winning them except for Critics' Choice, which was always going to be her just because of the makeup of that group and like the people who responded the best to her performance in that movie. Um, but she's also one of two people with a Best Picture nomination, and not only that, but like director, writing, and editing. And I think it is also safe to like in a way default to the person who has the strongest film, which you could say is her or Frances, but Frances already won twice. So I don't know. And Viola, yeah, like she won the SAG. Um, but they also love her at SAG, so you could use that against her or like, throw it out. And then it's like if you're predicting her, like we alluded to before, you're predicting her and Chadwick and Ma Rainey for makeup and hairstyling and costume design, then it's winning 4 of its 5 nominations or awards, and it's doesn't have a Best Picture nomination. And the last film that won that many awards without a Best Picture nomination was The Matrix. And no movie has won both lead categories ever without a Best Picture nomination. So, like, stats are gonna fall somehow, no matter who wins. And we haven't even talked about Vanessa Kirby. Poor Vanessa.
I know.
No.
Poor Vanessa. That was
I
her.
would love for her to just pull a Marcia Gay Harden because that would just be hilarious. I do think she was good in the movie, but I don't think that's likely, probably. So
Yeah. I think when you look at, so like if you look at Andra and Vanessa as being the like newcomer lone nominees for their films here, like Andra has the advantage because she's playing the real person. I think that's like how I'm kind of looking at it. And she has that Golden Globe win. Vanessa, yeah, I think it would be really funny if she won because I feel like she's everyone's five right now. I'm curious, I think, because so Carey is my second right now, just because I think of the momentum she has, like with the film, and just she's everywhere, whereas Frances is not as we expected. But I'm kind of wondering if, in the case where everything is so just wide open and there is no consensus, if that is where Frances comes in as the one who is so well respected. And I know Viola is too, but I think with being the lead in the Best Picture frontrunner, like maybe she could somehow come through. I don't know though.
yeah. Well, again, like if we think the vote is going to be as split as it could be, like it like won't take a huge margin to win. So I yeah, she could double her Oscar haul in one night.
Oh my God, she could.
I think Carrie is still number one on like our site in Gold Derby, but I don't really expect anyone to dethrone her just because she's just like the internet favorite. So, and I think a lot of people are like hope dicking her and just want her to win. And I think she can win. I think a lot of people wrote her off after the SAG, and then you could use like the reasoning that if the BAFTA jury hadn't screwed her, she probably would have been nominated and won BAFTA. But I don't know, like it's just like all the hypotheticals are just so hard because it's like Andra could have been nominated at SAG and she would have won that. So, but it didn't happen. So like none of
Right.
them got the
Yeah.
headlines off of it.
That's why Sunday needs to just happen and be over, and then we can talk about maybe why. But until then, we're just
They
going to
should save
be.
this category for last. So.
They should. I'm so curious, like what Steven Soderbergh is planning, like to make this like a movie. But if there if there is a tie, or if this, I mean, it's going to be crazy no matter what ends up happening, but I hope that it is last. Like not even Best Picture, Best Actress is the end of the night
I mean,
category.
it's the category that people care about the most. Really. Yeah, I don't know. But the thing is, it's like no matter who wins, like it like in hindsight, I'll be like, oh yeah, of course. Like
Mm-hmm.
we should have seen it, even though we can't right now, really.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. We ready for the last one? This will be easy in comparison. So our last category is Best Picture. We had 8 nominees this year: The Father, Judas and the Black Messiah, Mank, Minari, Nomadland, Promising Young Woman, Sound of Metal, and The Trial of the Chicago 7. What do you both have?
I still have Nomadland.
I also have Nomadland.
I have Nomadland too. And this one, I really will not let myself change.
Yeah, like I think the problem is um for anyone who wants like an upset or a different winner is like this support hasn't really coalesced around any one alternative contender. Like it seems like it could be Promising Young Woman, but then it loses like these like what should have been like easy guild wins, like the Ace Comedy, and like ADG to Defy Bloods, and like Carrie hasn't been performing or winning stuff, and then you have like Trial like winning SAG Ensemble, and then like Ace Drama, so it's like it's like seesawing between like who's like second and third, and then you have like, you know, other movies like Minari too that, you know, hasn't won anything major, but it could just be like a movie that people love and just getting a lot of number twos, you know.
Mhm.
So I feel like Nomadland just doesn't have like a strong rival that could really take it down right now. Like I feel like it should have lost PGA if there was someone who could do it.
Yeah, I wish Minari had a chance here. I think it's maybe the movie I'm going to think of when I think of 2020, and just like how heartwarming it was, how much it focuses on the American family and a lot of the themes throughout, um, and all the performances, just a lot of elements that I love. But Nomadland has been pretty much steamrolling this entire season, and I'm not mad about it either. I think it is deserving as well, and a win for Frances, which is kind of an odd thing. You know, you don't see her as a producer on it, but she is, and that's also amazing. So if she doesn't win actress, she will likely still win here.
How many people do you think know that she's a producer on this and would win an Oscar?
It's a very low.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's always a question. Like with some of these, it's like,
It,
how many
like,
people actually know
yeah,
these things?
especially because like she's been a no-show everywhere, so it's not like she's like giving speech
Right.
and wins Best Picture anywhere.
Yeah. I was thinking that too. I'm like, oh, she'll go here. I think she'll go to the Oscars to support Chloe. But I feel like she doesn't even really mind. Yeah.
Did she
But
have a speech at PGA?
It was just Chloe, wasn't it?
I think
Again,
so.
at this point, I can't remember.
Yeah,
I know it's all blending
I think Chloe's
together.
just been the one accepting when it
Okay.
was her. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I think though, like Nomadland, it's been sweeping, and yeah, I just don't see a clear challenger here. And I guess it would be like just based on wins, Chicago 7, but that just has SAG Ensemble, which isn't enough for me to think that that's going to happen.
Yeah, I like Chicago just feels like something that probably would have won like 20 years ago, like or even like
Hmm.
30 years ago, you know.
Yeah.
And like I enjoyed it fine, and I think like, you know, people like to dunk on it on the internet, but I think I have it in like fourth now. I still I have Minaria too, just because I kind of wanted to win. But I'm also like, it doesn't matter what's in second. Maybe it does. I don't know. Um, like Nomaland is like it's the Moonlight and the La La Land in the situation. Like it's the David and the Goliath, because it's usually the type of movie that would take down like, the bigger contender. Like it would take down a movie like Chicago 7.
Hmm.
It's been in the front runner position. So, but I don't know. Like, do you think maybe to play like devil's advocate, like people think it'll win, so they don't rank it high? I don't. I think I feel
Yeah.
like most people don't know how the preferential ballot works and like what their ranking does to movies.
Yeah. I've always wondered that too. Like, do people actually vote strategically, or do they
I
just
don't think
straight
so.
up rank the movies and not really think about how that happens? I feel like the hard thing with Nomadland is, you could say like maybe there isn't as much passion for it as something like Promising Young Woman or even Minari, but like those movies, I feel like Minari in particular, one thing that I think it has going for it is that like I don't know a person who leaves Minari or stops watching Minari and says like that was a bad movie. Everyone loves it, and I think really likes the performances, which is good. Promising Young Woman has the polarizing spot, I think, but its fans are very vocal, which I think can help it. But yeah, it still feels like even if Nomadland doesn't have that love behind it, it's still winning everything.
Yeah, and like again, like I feel like if you would ask people what's number two behind them, and then like people will have a different answer. Like there's no consensus like number two. So um, it'll just be funny just because like the BAFTA streak of getting this wrong will be over. Um, so yeah, it's one on both like like a plurality vote and PGA, which is like the one it should have lost, you know, if they weren't really feeling it.
So do we
Or-
only have like maybe 3 or 4 categories?
Not even Best Actress.
It was shockingly similar.
Are we like the idiots here, like picking Andra Day?
I don't know. I've seen a lot of
Maybe,
people switching to her too, so
but then I've seen a lot of people who have her in like fourth, who are just like, no, she can't win. This is, you know, between Viola and Carey, and I'm just like, okay, well, I have Andra. I don't know what to say to that.
Yeah, I don't like Viola, like I don't think like the screen time thing is an issue at all. Like people love to bring that up. I'm like, yeah, like everyone else has like an hour and 20 minutes of screen time, but I don't think that hurts her in any way because it's not like she's like a newbie or anything. Like she's widely respected, and
Hmm.
even though when she's not on screen, like they're still like talking about her in the movie, and the movie is only 90 minutes long, so like it's not like the movie is like 3 hours long and she's only in 20 minutes of it. Um, yeah, it's like I don't know if like Ma Rainey can win 4 Oscars, but I can also see it happening. So, like, is that the stat that's gonna break? I don't know.
Something will. I can't decide what it is. And I think for some of our categories, I was like, okay, this is good. I feel better. We're aligned with shorts. Like those were, I think, some of the categories where I wasn't as sure. And then all being aligned on best actress is something.
It's just so fun because like all like the anonymous ballots have been released is like everyone has like a different person and like we have the same person. I'm like, what is happening?
do
Uh
you read the like anonymous ballots, and what do you like factor those into how you think about things, or do you just kind of like read them for fun and write them off in your own predicting?
I mostly read them for fun. Like I've never changed anything solely because of them because again you see just like what like 15 of them and there's like 9,000 members so
um,
um and like we also have a couple like publishing this week after voting closes at Gold Derby so I think it's fun especially like I care less about who they pick and more about like their reasoning and some of them are
Hmm.
completely insane
yeah.
um and it's also I I guess not fun, but it's just like wild to see like how privileged a lot of them are. Like, you know, some of them already that have been published are they're, you know, complaining about like the lack of like the schmoozing because of COVID
Hmm.
and like they can't work like the Academy portal and like all this stuff. So and they miss their seniors or whatnot. It's like they just want everything like handed to make
Yeah.
it like easy for them and it's fun to see like who takes it seriously like you know I do respect the people who are like I haven't seen all these movies so I'm not going to vote in this category or I don't know what this means like when you know it was like the two sound category so I'm going to abstain from voting um but then yeah like some other people just kind of have like the pettiest reason to vote or not vote for someone so like we take it way more seriously than they do.
I know.
So much more.
Like, do you guys do? Have you guys changed anything because of those ballots?
I have a kind
No.
of funny example. So I love Bradley Cooper. We're back on the Star is Born thing. And I just remember I like went into a full like hope dicting Bradley Cooper thing before the Oscars. I was like, he can do it. He had the best performance in the category. And then I read it was like the collection of ballots from that year, and every single voter picked Rami Malek. And it was my wake up call. I was just like, I can't do it. I have to go with what's actually going to happen and not what I want.
No, they're just totally for fun. I think I get more angry about their reasoning. And like you said, so I kind of give up and stop reading at that point. But I wonder like how they're compiled and if they in publishing like choose ones where they're just kind of across the board. So it's like you have no idea what is going to happen, or these people's views are just so different and vast. Um, so yeah, it's all just like clickbait fun, basically.
I mean, the one where I wish I could have changed something was like the Glenn and Olivia one, where it was just like a lot of people saying like, I thought like Olivia was great, she was my favorite, but like it's Glenn's time, like she's gonna win. So, but yeah, I didn't change it. So
That was one of our favorite wins. I think that was just, it was so crazy and just, I had fully like written off that she could win at all. So,
I was just like so prepared for the favorite to not win anything since it lost screenplay to Green Book,
mhm.
and then she won that, and it was like so deserving. Like I thought, like I don't know if she was my favorite in that category. Maybe she was. I haven't really thought about this that deeply, but like Glenn would have been a good winner too, but like Olivia was, you know, a great performance, and people always say like, you know, she wasn't a lead, she should have gone supporting, and I'm glad that, you know, she proved them wrong, that like, you know, she could win and lead for that performance, and her speech was so good. So,
When we constantly return to here, one of my favorite speeches. Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
anytime you hear a speech on just screaming Lady Gaga, it's
oh,
a good one.
that's, it really is just like the best way that it ends. And if it ever just like pops up on my YouTube or something, I never turn it off. I have to watch the whole thing through.
You know, and like I love how like I mean she was shocked obviously, but like everyone around her was like so happy for her.
Hmm.
Like I love when like the other people are more happy for you than you are for your.
Yeah.
But poor Glenn, like her
Yeah.
like
I
pursed
know.
lips, like oh.
I know. And she had the gold dress on too. Like she was
She
ready.
was
She
ready.
dressed for the job she wanted and
Hmm.
didn't get it.
Oh.
It's okay, Glenn. You'll break the record and win on your ninth nomination.
Yeah. We just need Sunset Boulevard, like we said.
We need to start like the Kickstarter and raise the money for it since no one else is doing it. Clearly.
Thank you so much for being on here with us. I think just to wrap up, we have one question we always end with that we ask all of our guests, and it's what's one thing that you're wild for right now? It's just like a play on our title, and it can be like a movie, a TV show, a book, anything like that.
Oh God. Well, I guess I will just pimp the Mighty Ducks Game Changers. We mentioned that earlier on Disney Plus, the show, which I will admit I was like wary about because I'm not one of those people who um, needs like reboots and revivals. Like when things end, I'm totally fine with it ending, and everything has to end at some time. But I actually do like the show, and I've seen like um, some screeners for like future episodes, and you know, like I don't know if it's like the nostalgia, but it's like taking me back. And I think like if you were ever a Mighty Ducks fan, you should watch them. And I think it is actually like a pretty good show, like the writing and like the pacing, better than like some like more prestigious shows out there. So I guess that's what I'm wild on. And then also on a side note, I will pimp a Mighty Ducks podcast that, full disclosure, I have been on multiple times, called The Quack Attack. And Steve Brill, the creator of the Mighty Ducks, like he's been on the podcast too, and the character Nick on the show is based on the podcast because he hosts a podcast on the show.
Oh,
Hmm. Very
huh.
cool.
That's cool.
I think the Mighty Ducks film, when did the first one come out?
The
Was it
first one came
90?
out October 2nd, 1992. The second one came out March 25th, 1994, and the third one came out October 4th, 1996.
I love that you know that. That's great.
I have watched those movies more times than any other movie in my life. Not so much D3, which like the consensus, like most people, that's their least favorite, but like I wore out my D2 VHS because that's the best one, as everyone knows. I'm sorry, Nick, I completely interrupted you. You were asking. when it came
No,
out.
it's totally fine. I'm pretty sure I have the VHS at least for the first one, but I'll have to go back and watch them all now.
I mean,
Maybe we should
they're
do a
all
trilogy coverage here on the
Oh my
pod.
God.
like, was the Mighty Ducks trilogy robbed of Oscars? No, yeah, like I kind of miss the 90s kids sports movies in general, like The Sandlot, which wasn't
Mhm.
Disney, but like Angels in the Outfield, Big Green. We need to bring those back, I think.
Yeah, I loved those. We did on one of our episodes, we talked about like we play this game, Nom or Bomb, where Nom is good and Bomb is bad. And we say that for films that come up. And we did one with baseball movies, and there were so many good ones.
But Moneyball was my favorite movie of 2011.
I think Brad Pitt should have gotten his Oscar for Moneyball instead of
Dang,
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
God. We didn't even talk about how like it's just like co-leads winning supporting actor now.
I know.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Joyce, for being here today. We really appreciate all of your predictions, all of your insight, and we can't wait to see what happens and
I
which one of
promise
us.
I won't change anything except for music, so I'll probably change actress. I don't know to what.
I'll be keeping an eye on all of my notifications through the Gold Derby app and see if your name pops up anymore.
Well, you should just know actress won't be until Saturday because that was like what I told myself. So not touching that one because I can't lose sleep over this.
That's fair. And yeah, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. This was so much fun and such a good wrap up for us on the season.
Anytime. I hope we didn't lead too many people astray or they don't copy too many of our predictions.
I know people are going to be shocked, I think, by the Andra Day, especially all three of us. So,
Yeah.
Something's not right there. So,
no.
But if we all get it right, then we're geniuses and then we can
that means
flaunt
we
that.
can't
So
change it before Sunday.
yeah.
That too.